Welcome to the runtime error, the place where programming begins. As we know that we have already started with the Java collection. In the previous lecture, we checked the inbuilt functions of a Java collection which is common to all the collections. In this video, we are going to check out the iterators in Java, which is basically used to iterate the collections. These iterators in Java is basically carried out from the iterable class, which basically inherited from the collection interfaces. These iterators in Java contains the three functions called as hasNext, next and the remove. Before we discuss these three functions, let's check out how the iterators in Java mainly works. As we already know that in C++ or in C, when we traverse the array, it travels from element to element, right? Say for example 1, 2, 3 and 4. These are elements and I want to traverse. So first I go to 1, 2, 3 and 4, which means I'm basically traversing to the index of my array. Right, but when it comes to the iterators in Java, this basically not works. So the question comes, how does the iterators in Java works? So say for example, these are my three elements which is present in my collection called as a list. Right, say for consider a list and I want to traverse. So iterators will not go from element to element. No, it will not go like the arrays in C and C++. What does it basically do is it's move from side to side of that element. The side of this 16 is this one, so from this point it goes to this, from this it goes over here and it goes to the end. So this is how the iterator works. Now say for example, currently my iterator is present at the start of my 16. I'm not saying exactly on 16, I'm saying at the start of my 16. Right, now what does this hasNext function basically do? It simply returns true if it is contains element to the right of my iterator. So this is my iterator. Right of my iterator is this side. Does it contains element? Yes, I have the 16. Therefore, it will simply return true. Therefore, can we say that hasNext simply returns true if it contains element next to it? Otherwise, it will simply returns false if it does not contains element next to it. For example, if my iterator is present at the last and I call the hasNext. Now the question comes, does this iterator contains element next to it? No, therefore it will simply returns false. So I hope so you understood the working of hasNext function. Now let's check out the next functions. So next function basically does two works at the same time, right? Two works. The first work it does, it returns an element. It returns element next to it. And next one is move to next position. So this is the two works mainly done by the next function. So what does it mean is, say for example, I'm currently standing at the next to the first of my 16, and if I call the next, so what does it will do is it will simply return 16 and it will get jumped to the next position. So what it will happen? So it will jump from this position to this position. So from this it will simply get removed. So this is how a next basically works. It has returned 16, right? Let me print over here. So it return a 16 and simply move to the next position. That is from this position it come at this position. Now again I call the next, it will return 23 and it will jump to the next position. At this position, it will simply get removed from this position. So I hope so you understood how does a next basically works. It does two things at the same time. First, it returns an element next to it, that is 16, and then it came over here. Again I call it returned 23 because 23 is next to it and it simply came to the next position. So this is how a next basically works. Return the element, move to the next position. Now comes a remove. So how does a remove basically works like? Remove basically removes the element which is previous to it. Which is the element which is previous to this iterator? 23. So it will simply return a 23. But the point is, in next, what it used to happen is, it used to return the element which is next to it and move to the next position. But in remove, we cannot move to the next position. It simply removes the element which is previous to it. So it simply remove the 23 and it will still remain at this position. Right, let me remove it. So this get removed, and this is the reason why I'm telling you not to use this remove function twice in a same iteration. Because what is happening, my iterator is present over here and there is no element next to it, and you are calling the remove function. What it will going to remove? It will simply return a runtime exception because there is no element left to it and you are trying to remove it. You might say 16 is present at the left to it. No, it is not present at the left to it because there was one element left to it and that has removed. So it doesn't mean now 16 is left to the 18. No, there is certain space which is deleted. There was certain space, right? Therefore we cannot call the remove function twice in a same iteration. So I hope so you understood these three functionalities really well. Now let's check out the proper implementation of this iteration. So what I did is basically I have declared the collection and I have passed to the function called as a sol. Right, let's example any collection. For example, for our understanding, let's call it as a list. Right, let's call it as a list. So my list basically contains three elements, 11, 16 and 23, and I'm using the iterator. Check out the syntax, how I declare the iterator. First one, I use a keyword called as iterator in which I is my capital. Then I declare a data type. Remember, in collection itself contains integer. That is the reason why I use integer here itself. If it was string, then here also it was supposed to be string. So I hope you understood how should be my data type vary from collection to collection. Then I declared the variable called as it, just a name. In for loop, what I use, we mainly use I, right? Similarly, I use it. And then I use C, that is name of this collection, and I use iterator and a opening and closing bracket. So we have declared the iterator over here. Now I have done it.hasNext. As we discussed over here, what does hasNext do? It simply returns element true if contains element next to it. So I am present over here, I have the 18 next to it, so simply it will return true. Right, so basically my iterator is standing at the next previous to the element, and I call this hasNext. Will it check? Does it have element next to it? Yes, I have the element. Therefore, it will return true. Condition gets certified and it will come over here. Now we'll be executing this line. And what we'll be having next? And as I told you that next perform two things at the same time. Return the element to the right of it and move to the next position. So what it will do is in my num it will contain 11 and my iterator will get shifted at this position. Right? Iterator will get shifted to this position. So this will get removed. And my iterator is present at this position. Now I will check, is my num is odd? Yes, 11 is odd. So I called a remove function. So what I told you in remove, it removes the element which is previous to it. So which is the element previous to this iterator? 11, right? So this will get removed. And after removing, how does my list look like? This way. Because I have removed 11. So elements remaining are 16 and 23. And my iterator is just left to my 16. So this is how I represent it. Check out. In this whole iteration, I have called the remove exactly once. And here I told you not to call a remove function twice in the same iteration. Right. So again, it goes over here. Again, I will check. hasNext. Is contains element next to this iterator? Yes. So simply return true. Again, I come over here. Now what I will do is, again I will execute this. So next what it will do is, it will simply give me the next element, that is called as 16, and it will move to the next position over here. So this will get cancelled. Then again I will check, is the 16 my odd element? No. So nothing will be happen because this will not get executed. So my iterator is present over this position. Now again I will come hasNext. Yes, it contains 23 next to the iterator, so it returns true. Then I come across over here. Now it will return 23 and it will shift to the next position. So you'll get 23 and it will shift to the next position at this point, and this iterator has been changed now. Now again I will check, is my 23 is an odd element? Yes, it is odd, and I have called remove. Therefore the element which is left to this iterator is 23 and it will simply get removed, and only iterators left is 16, right? Now 16 is the only element which is left. Now again I call over, I will check hasNext. Now I will check, do I have the element next to this my iterator? No. Therefore it will return false and will come out of this loop. And at the end, my final answer will be this one, that is 16 only. So I hope so you understood the working of iterators. This is really simple. It has only three functions. First one is called hasNext, next and remove. If you like the way I'm teaching with the Java collection, do hit the subscribe button and tell me in the comment section what are the changes I need to bring so that you can get a clear content on the Java collections. Till then, have a happy coding.